Good afternoon, folks. Welcome back to another video. So you join me here today down at Cot Valley, between Cape Cornwall and Selland Cove. It's a bit grey. It's been a bit miserable recently. I haven't gone out and done much photography since the last video that you saw, which was at Lowepro. But I need to get out. I need to do some photography. So I've come down to Cot Valley today with the intention of trying to shoot something a little bit different, more intimate landscapes, more detail in the landscape, rather than the bigger vistas that I would normally do. So with that in mind, I've come with hopefully my eye in to find some detail in the rocks, something a little bit more abstract, looking for patterns, textures, that kind of thing. Don't know what we'll find, but if I can't find it here, I'm probably in big trouble. So let's take a wander down to the beach. Let's go and have a look and see what we can find, and hopefully we'll have an interesting session. So just before we get into today's video, I wanted to say a massive thank you to all of those of you who have liked and subscribed to my channel so far. It's very much appreciated. I'm thrilled to think that people are watching the videos, that people are subscribing to the channel, and I really do hope that you're getting something out of it. Please do feel free to share my videos to friends and family on your social media, wherever it might be. Really looking forward to growing this channel over the coming 12 months and hopefully the years beyond that as well. So I just wanted to say a really big thank you before we got into this video today, because otherwise I'll get distracted and I'll forget. So thank you. So we've made it down to the beach, and for those of you not familiar with Cot Valley, it's no mean feat. If I come around, you'll be able to see these rocks behind me. See these rocks extended up to the beach. Well, the path that I've come down is actually up here. And you've got to clamber across all of these. So if you come down to this beach, please do watch what you're doing, because those are ankle breakers. If you slip on those and get your foot caught between the rocks, you could be in some serious trouble. The other interesting thing here is that this place is actually known as Dinosaur Egg Beach, and that's because of the way that the sea has rounded these rocks. If I flip you around, I can actually show you some of these big rounded boulders. See those, look? Rounded by the action of the sea. And there's a nice, see that one in there, that was a nice ovally shaped one. There's a nice one there, look. And yeah, so hence the name, Dinosaur Egg Beach. But the other thing you want to watch is those cliffs. Those cliffs are pretty dangerous. Please don't get too close to those. If you're going to come in over the side there, across the other side of the valley from there. But yeah, just really watch yourselves here, because it is a dangerous location if you get this wrong. Likewise with the tide. The tide at the moment is out. There's the Brysons, look. Otherwise known as Charles de Gaulle in the bath. Glad I didn't see that. But yeah, so we're going to have a little wander around. We're going to see what we can find. And hopefully we'll get a few images out here today. I may even be tempted to shoot some of these in black and white to try and get a bit more detail in it. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. This is a very different sort of shoot for me. So let's go take a look. So after a little bit of wandering around, I think I may have found my first composition of the day. Now I've already got this camera set up and I have already taken the shots. I believe I'm going to have to focus stack this. Now, for those of you who don't know what focus stacking is, that's where you take a series of images across the actual subject that you're photographing to make sure that the whole thing is sharp. So I've taken about 5 images here to try and get this sharp, and I'll show you in a moment why. And it's because the surface that I'm photographing has got higher areas and lower areas, and you need to get those higher and lower areas nice and sharp. So if I spin you around and show you the composition that I'm looking at, then you get an idea of why it is that I've had to focus stack this, shooting it at such a close range. Okay, so what I'm looking at is this just here. So we've got these mussels here on the wall, on the sea wall, on the granite. If I pull that back a little bit, you can get a little bit of a better idea. Now, what I'm trying to use is the line where those mussels are sitting. You've got that line coming down to the rock, and I'm trying to use that as a diagonal. I'm actually shooting this as a portrait image rather than a landscape image. So the subject of the shot is actually the 3 mussels there on the rocks. But I'm using that line that's coming down through there from the corner to give some interest. But as you can see, when you get in a bit closer, you've got different heights in there, different depths. So you've got the peaks of the shells, and then the bottoms of the shells. And what you're trying to do is to try to make sure that all of that is sharp right the way through. And that requires a number of images, hence the focus stack, to try and get a sharp image all the way through. Now, my laptop isn't a big fan of me doing focus stacking. It throws a bit of a wobbly when I do that, but when I get that home and I put that on the computer, we'll see what that's looking like, and hopefully that's sharp all the way through. And well, one way or another, I'll pop it up on the screen for you to have a look at, so that you can see our first image of the day. So just here on a little wander around the beach, and I've spotted something that I've never ever seen before on any beach anywhere that I've been, and does make you realise that you don't know what's beneath your feet. So you can see the stream just over here that runs up and down towards the sea, and you can also see that there's some rocks here. Well, let me turn the camera around and I'll show you what I'm looking at, because I could have gone down a hole quite easily. 2 seconds. So here we are, look. You see there's a couple of holes there, and obviously the water coming down through, but what it's all sat on top of is these boulders, and there are a number of these holes, and you can see the sand is just sat and compacted on top of these big rocks, and of course, as you can see, the sand around the edges is giving way there in places. So I wandered over here thinking that there might be some sort of composition involving these holes, not realizing what was actually below them. So I don't want to venture in there too far, just in case I end up with a broken ankle, because I could really do with that out here. But there we go. I thought that was something of interest. I thought I would just show you. Okay, so returning to the photography again now, and what I'm trying to shoot. I don't know if you can see the camera there behind me. So I'm interested in this little raised bank over here and the way that it leads you out towards the sea. You see that there? That's kind of 2 or 3 layers to it there. So what I've done is I've set a composition up that's looking at that and following the line of the water out towards the sea. I may be able to show you that composition on the back of the camera if I switch you around. So there we go. There's that composition on the back of the camera. So I don't need to focus stack this. This doesn't, I'm far enough away from this that I should be able to get the whole thing sharp in one go. So I don't need to focus stack it, but I will be using a bit of a long exposure on it just to hold the texture and movement of that water. And hopefully we'll pick up some really nice detail in that sandbank on the far side over there. And I think once I've done that, I'm going to have to jump back over this stream, because that tide is already starting to come up that beach a little bit, and I need to get back across. So we'll take this shot, and then we'll head back across the stream and see what we can find on the other side. So you find me now down in the stream, and I'm trying to shoot a composition that I've spotted from the sandbank that's really caught my attention. This possibly is one of the most difficult ones I've done to date in the position that I've had to try to get into to get this shot. I'll show you this image in a moment. I'll turn you around and show you what it is I'm looking at. I have had to focus stack it because where the actual image starts is very close to the camera lens. And trying to get all that detail in as it goes. But you remember those rocks we were looking at over there with the sand on top of them? Well, from this side, I've got one that's almost like a little bridge going across between 2 rocks, but there's some interesting detail actually in that. I'll flip you around a moment, we'll have a look at it. So there we go, that's what I've been looking at. I mean, that's not the actual composition. Maybe I'll show you the composition on the back of the camera if I come down. There we go, that's the composition that I've been working with, and I really, really like the structure of that and the textures that are in there, and the detail of it. I think it's something quite different, quite unique. Like I said, it's almost like a sand bridge between the rocks, and it's just, well, it really took my attention. And the other thing that really caught my attention was I don't know if you can see it, the red bit of seaweed up on the top right there, on the top of the boulder, just really stood out amongst the colours there. You've got the grey of that sand and the yellowy colour of that boulder, and then there's that red seaweed, and again, that really caught my attention. But this sand just in here on top of this bridge, I mean, this really caught my attention. And if that image comes out, I should be really, really pleased with it. I'm not 100% certain what it's going to look like yet, but regardless, I'll pop it up on the screen for you to have a look at. So yeah, let's see what it looks like. Okay, so you remember at the start of the video I said that I might actually shoot some of this in black and white. Well, this is one of those moments. So what I'm trying to do is I've got a series of rocks. You see where the camera's pointing there, you see those rocks? So I've got those rocks lined up in a nice composition, and I'm just waiting for the water to come in and drag back away from the rocks or across the rocks, and it depends on which direction the water is actually moving. But I've done that in a nice black and white image, and I think I'm actually going to keep it as a black and white image rather than have it as a color image and convert it to black and white. I think I'm going to have it just as a black and white image because I think the black of the rock stands out really nicely against the movement and white of the water. I'd like to show you this on the back of the camera, but that tide is starting to come in quite quickly and I want to retreat up the beach now. So just wanted to talk you through that very quickly. In fact, I'll just flip you around so you can have a better view of it. 2 seconds. There is that tide coming in pretty quickly, but I don't know if you can see this on the back of the camera. Don't think it's going to work very well, but there we go. There's the view. There's the rocks that I'm looking at. I may very quickly try and change that to a portrait and see whether or not that works. The water is really great for isolating the rocks and hiding details in that you might not want to see. So though the rocks are quite clustered together, once that sea comes in, you do get that separation, much like you do in woodland with mist and fog. You get that degree of separation between the rocks and it just helps to break that image up a little bit. So I'm hoping that's going to come out looking really nice. I'm going to flick this around and try this in a portrait very quickly before I retreat up the beach, and then I'll put both images on for you. What do you think of those last two images? I think they work really nicely in black and white. I ended up with the portrait image, recomposing it because I didn't feel that it was working very well with just those few rocks. But I felt that it worked better with the shape of the rocks looking out towards the bisons out there, and I felt that the movement in amongst those rocks worked much better. There was a much better balance to that particular image than it was if I'd just put up the portrait image that I was going to shoot, recomposing from that landscape image. I think that works really well. I'd love to hear what you think. I think it looks really nice in the black and white as well. I think you get that contrast between the dark areas and the light areas in the image, and I think it helps you to pick out the texture and movement in that water a lot better than it does with a color image because there's less distraction for you. I don't know if you can hear that. I'm currently being buzzed by a plane, but that's fine. So now I've had to move up the beach quite quickly there because that tide is coming in quite rapidly now. So I'm going to have a little look around in these rocks up here behind me that you can see, and I'm going to see if I can find any images up there. I've got an idea in mind of a composition that I'm looking for, but it just depends on whether I can find the right rocks in the right places exactly as I want them. So we'll have a little look and see. If I can come up with it, then I'll come back to you. If not, then we'll move on to something else. So I think I've had some degree of success in looking for this image amongst the rocks that I was hoping for. As I said at the beginning of the video, one of the names for this beach is Dinosaur Egg Beach, and that's because of the rounded boulders here on the shoreline that have been moved around by the power of the sea and rounded over many, many years. And what I found, or what I was looking for, was one that really stood out amongst the rest of them that I could photograph. And really what I've got here is almost the dinosaur egg sitting in its nest. I'll buzz you around to show you. I've had to shoot this handheld, so I haven't got the camera set up. Put the camera back in the bag now. I've already shot the image, but I'll buzz you around and I'll show you what it was that I was looking at, and you can see why, to me, it looks like a dinosaur egg sitting in a nest. So there it is. There is the, if I zoom in, it's that rock right there. You know, that to me is still, it's nice, and it's nicely isolated from the rest of the rocks. It stands a little bit proud from the rest of the rocks, and like I said, to me it looks like a dinosaur egg sitting in a nest, because you've got some of this, I think it's kelp. I think it's the base of the kelp where it grows from the seabed, that's been washed ashore, and it almost makes it look like strands of a nest that are sitting there, and that's how it looks to me. So I've shot that image. I've shot that image in black and white. It looks quite nice on the back of the camera. I'll see what it looks like when I get it home. Obviously, it's coming up on the screen in just a moment for you, and you can have a look and see what you think. So before we finish today's video, I thought I would stop off on the way back to the van and just shoot a view of the stream that runs down through here. This is the same stream that runs across the beach, comes down through the valley. This is an old mining valley, so can I just say that when you visit these places, and particularly old mining areas, mining valleys, you may on occasion find holes in the sides of walls, in rocks, in the ground, things that you might think are worth having a look at, but these are dangerous places, and please, please, please don't go wandering into things that you don't understand or you don't know about. Certainly, you know, if you haven't got the right equipment, if you have no knowledge of mining, of what it's like underground, you will just get yourself into trouble, and many a person has, unfortunately. So take it all in, enjoy the scenery, but please stay safe. But I thought I would just stop off and shoot a quick shot of this stream, which, as you can see, goes out behind me now, down towards the sea. That's where we were just now, out on the beach. So I've already taken that image, and I'll pop that up on the screen in a moment for you. Thank you again for joining me in another video. I hope you've got something out of it. I hope the images are going to come out okay, because quite honestly, at this point, being here on site and just seeing them on the back of the camera, I don't know. What I've done today is something quite different for me. I don't normally do this kind of more intimate landscapes, these more sort of picking out the details. I'm far better with the wider vistas, but I wanted to do something on a grey day that shows that you don't have to have great light to take photographs. You can get out and enjoy yourself regardless of the conditions. Dull days don't mean dull photos. It doesn't mean you can't get out and do photography. Get out and enjoy yourself anyway. Make the most of it, and maybe try picking out some of those finer details in the landscape. It doesn't have to be at the beach. It could be anywhere. It could be in the woods. Could be the bark of a tree. Could be you know, leaves on the ground. It could be anything. I've just chosen to come down to the beach to do this today. Again, please do like and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. It really does help me to grow and encourages me to get out and make more of these videos for all of you guys. So until I come up with another plan and shoot another video, I'll see you again soon.